Hi, it's Jason from Fraser Valley Rose Farm. I just released a video on how to prune your roses, and I wanted to follow that one up with a video on fertilizing because they kind of go hand in hand. I'm pruning to prepare the roses for a fresh new season, give them a fresh start, and this is also the time of year coming out of winter when they need some fertilizer support. You want to support those big blooms, fresh growth, successive flushes of blooms. To do that, you don't need to aggressively fertilize, but you do need to consistently fertilize and with the right nutrient balance to support that new growth. Today in this video, I'll go through what I use and what schedule I follow to support that growth throughout the season. Of all the nutrients we could talk about for roses, nitrogen is the one that is most likely to be in short supply at this time of year. Nitrogen has a nasty habit of disappearing in the soil. It volatilizes up into the atmosphere if it's on the surface, or it washes down through the soil, especially if you're in a high rainfall area like mine. It'll wash out over the winter. So when your roses are coming out of dormancy and they're reaching for that nitrogen, that's the one they're most likely to fall short on. What's more, nitrogen is used in relatively high amounts by roses. I'm going to show you some tissue analysis up on this side of the screen here from cut flower growers that show what your roses actually use, and I think that's a sensible place to start for talking about what we need to replace. Nitrogen is very top of the list, followed by things like calcium and potassium. Now, calcium is widely available in the soil, but potassium might need some supplementation too. What you'll also note is that way down the list is phosphorus, which is generally oversupplied in fertilizer products. So we don't need to supply that much phosphorus, but nitrogen, that's one we have to think about. So now let's talk about the fertilizing window. I just mentioned that mid-February is the time of year around here that we talk about doing our pruning, making that call, but that's also the time that we start feeding as well. That's sort of what you would follow in every climate, is that if you're pruning, if you're starting your season in pruning, that's when your plants are going to start growing, and that's when you're going to want to try to feed them. But of course, that timing varies from region to region. There are some areas where that's basically all year. If you're in Southern California, or if you're in Australia, you might not get a break from this. But if you have a winter and you're coming out of the winter, that's when you start feeding. So I call that the front end of the window. And then I continue to feed every 6 to 8 weeks throughout the season, here up until about August. Now, August is the reason for that is because I want to slow down the roses. I don't want them going into September and October with fresh new growth. I want them to shut down before the winter. So I choose August here, and I think that's a pretty standard recommendation. You kind of do at least want to give yourself 6 to 8 weeks before your first major or hard frosts. So now the question of what am I feeding in within those 8-week cycles, and I'm using alfalfa, which is certainly not the only thing you can use, but I've talked about before that it is one of my preferences, primarily because it achieves that feeding of the nitrogen without spiking every other fertilizer within the soil. You can see a typical alfalfa NPK being something like 3.51 or similar, with a bunch of micronutrients, kind of matching what is taken out of the plant and what the rose needs to support its growth. Alfalfa also has a low carbon to nitrogen ratio, so it actually feeds the soil without robbing nitrogen initially to break down. So it does rely upon your soil bacteria or soil life to break down, so it breaks down slowly in the soil, which is another thing I like, and it feeds the soil as it works. My general formulation is that I use 1 cup of alfalfa for a small to medium sized rose. I scratch that into the surface and work it in and then water it, and that helps it to break down and be absorbed by the rose. If you find that it forms a dry crust on the soil, you'll have to water again and work it in again. If I'm feeding a larger rose, something like a climber or a large shrub, I might go up to 2 cups of alfalfa at the first feeding, and then every subsequent feeding throughout the year, up to maybe 4 or possibly 5 feedings overall before I hit that back end of the window in August. Now, I used alfalfa as my example here, but obviously you can replace that with your product of preference, just following that same schedule, a low consistent feed throughout that window. For instance, if you used horse manure or cattle manure, you might times that cup by 1.5 cups. So go up a little bit, because manures tend to have a slightly lower nitrogen delivery than the alfalfa. And if you were going for a large rose, you might go up to 3 cups instead of the 2, something along those lines. Now, if you decided to use a synthetic fertilizer, some of the conventional fertilizers, something like a 10-5-8 or a 12-4-8 or something along those lines, These are more concentrated, probably 4 or 5 times more concentrated than your alfalfa by weight. And so what you're probably talking about is tablespoons, 1 tablespoon, for instance, instead of 1 cup to deliver the same amount. Of course, you do have to calculate that based on the concentration of the product, but just keeping in mind or bearing in mind that if you go to those conventional fertilizers, they release fast and you have to be careful about how fast they will spike that nitrogen in your plant and how they could burn the roots if you do that. So low and slow is definitely the way to go. A word now on roses in containers or pots is that they don't have that soil volume to support the bacteria or biological life to break down the organic amendments I've been talking about here quite so easily. So it is convenient at that point to talk about a controlled release fertilizer like Osmocote. Again, something with a similar balance, a higher nitrogen, lower phosphorus, higher potassium, and have that be a 3 or 4 month formulation that you can then top up with soluble fertilizer through the season as you see the plant needs it. Now I want to reiterate that NPK, that fertilizer choice, if you're choosing from a wide range of products, is that you're looking for higher N, lower P, higher K, something like a 12-4-8 or a 10-5-8, something along those lines. What roses do not need is a big spike of phosphorus to get them flowering. That is kind of a myth perpetuated by the fertilizer industry. Regarding chlorosis, if you see yellow leaves early on in the season, that can be a matter of soil temperature. So don't react in a panic to that there. What you will often hear people saying is, oh, that's iron, or oh, that's magnesium, and so they run out and they try to add iron fertilizer or Epsom salts to try to cure that problem. And that can just be a matter of soil temperature that will resolve early in the season. I would avoid doing single-purpose fertilizers like iron and Epsom salts unless you're dealing with a soil test and you've confirmed a deficiency. Otherwise, you can throw things out of whack. A high magnesium fertilizer in a soil that already has enough or too much magnesium can lock out calcium for you, and you don't want to do that. A couple more fertilizer cautions. One is with newly planted roses. If you're talking about a plant that has just gone into the ground or you're putting into the ground now, try to avoid the heavy conventional fertilizers early on. They have small root systems, young root systems, and they are tender. So if you throw in a bunch of that high salt conventional fertilizer into the planting hole or on top even directly afterwards, you can burn those young roots. I would probably stick with the organic amendments applied to the top of the soil, not in the planting hole, just to give them a good start. Once they're showing good growth, they're well established, then you can resume regular fertilizer schedule. And finally, I've made a recent video where I talked about the perils of rose food or systemic rose food, the ones that include both the NPK but also have a pesticide built into the formulation, which I don't like. They do two things wrong. As I say, building in a pesticide I think is a bad idea just horticulturally. Second thing is they usually get that NPK wrong, so they're usually going with that high phosphorus spike just because that's the myth of what works for roses. So I would avoid those ones and just go with a separate fertilizer and a separate pesticide if you need it, instead of having that combined product. All right, that's it. To recap my approach, start in the spring at the time of your spring pruning, whatever that is for your climate. You're probably looking for things like signals from nature, like forsythias blooming and that sort of thing. Feed moderately every 6 to 8 weeks throughout the season, and then stop. Usually here I stop in August, but at least 6 to 8 weeks before your first hard frost to let them harden off and slow down to give them a better chance of winter survival. I would use a nitrogen forward fertilizer, something that has a higher N, lower P, and a decent K, and then water consistently to help that break down, especially if it's an organic amendment, or again, even for your conventional fertilizers, water is necessary to transport that in through the rows. This isn't about perfection, it's about consistent results, and I hope that was helpful. If you have any questions, please drop that down into the comments below the video, and I'll see what I can do to help.